And Sean Holley and Martyn Williams with me tonight. Sean, we always say, don't we, this is the period when you test your squad depth the most. The Ospreys have 8 players in the Welsh squad, more than any other region. How well equipped are they to cope?
Well, historically, they're very strong, but not so much tonight. They lack a little bit of experience, I feel, but they still should have enough. And they got some tidy players in there that can do the job. And they're up against an Edinburgh team that has lots of changes, a bit of a mix and match from them tonight. So I fancy them to win.
And the backs, Sean, a fair few familiar faces. They're missing the big guns like your Dan Biggers and Rhys Webbs, but some guys there who've been at the club a long time. Yeah,
and usually for the Ospreys, probably a little bit more experience in the back line than up front. You know, the ever-present Dan Evans at 15, been a good signing. Richard Fussell is a proven try-scorer. Grabham is a converted 9. It's in the midfield I have a little bit of concern. I think they're a bit much the same, those two. I like Ashley Beck as a 12, more creative, but it's at half-back that I'll be looking tonight for them to really drive the Ospreys. Martin Roberts is an experienced campaigner with great service, but Sam Davies now, I think he should have had more minutes this year. Looking for him to kick on with the confidence that he's had through the LV Cup. Great kicking game, but can he run the game for the Ospreys tonight?
In terms of predictions then, you mentioned, Sean, that perhaps Edinburgh is a bit of a patched-up side tonight. The Ospreys playing away, they've only won 1 in the last 6 in Edinburgh, Martin. Do you see them having just enough tonight to do the job?
I think so. I think, you know, like Sean has said there, I think their backline is still, it's a lot of quality in that backline. Edinburgh's an unknown quantity. I think you're looking down the list of the, you know, they start in 15. There's a lot of players you wouldn't have seen before. So, yeah, hopefully, I think the Ospreys, on the back of a great win in Bath last week as well, you think momentum is with them.
And it's critical, isn't it, Sean, when you look at the fixtures coming up? They're in Glasgow again next week, and then they've got Leinster and Munster at home. This period could really determine the fate of their season.
I think it will, Ross. I think they will feel they have to win tonight. Glasgow will be a tough game, and Leinster and Munster coming to Liberty this time of year is difficult. You know, if they can get on the front foot and their defence is good tonight, I think they'll have enough to corral this Edinburgh team.
Rusty, but as Martin said, both teams trying to play a bit of rugby, and Edinburgh, a very well-crafted try for Jay Terure.
Yeah, it was coming, to be honest. You know, they were trying things off scrums, getting good strength off their scrums. And you know, just watch here now, what the Ospreys like to have is forwards inside of 10. There's a 10-on-10, and Matavesi loses in his eye line the 12. It's poor cover defence, if I'm honest. You know, the 9 needs to come and take that. But, you know, if you just take your eye off somebody who's coming on a hard line like that for just a split second, then you're going to have a weak or missed tackle. So I think they'll be disappointed there they didn't fill inside of Sam Davies, because as any backs coach will tell you, you get a 10-on-10 that close to the line and you fancy your chances.
I think he's got himself in trouble once or twice, but you know, both 10s at the 4 really.
Yeah, well, I asked Sam Davies to control the game and grow in the confidence he's shown in the LV, but this was a story of a missed chance. Grabham should really take that, and Grabham goes through again. They didn't have much out of this maul, but the ball spills out, and you know, I'm really surprised Dan Evans here. If we just hold it, you see Richard Fussell will score from there. If he just holds it up and passes, Fussell's in just before half-time, and that, you know, they get a bit of a lead and a lot of confidence going into the second half.
With those two, they could perhaps have been a couple of scores clear by now.
Yeah, and, you know, Martin said it, you know, when you go to these places at this time of year, you've got to take those 1 or 2 chances. Edinburgh took theirs. Ospreys may rue the fact that they've missed that one, because they'll only probably get 1 more if they're lucky in that second half.
That decision, though, Sean, to leave Adam Jones out of this squad, as time goes on now and we've got a crucial injury, is that looking increasingly ill-judged as time goes on?
Maybe, you know, but they stick by their guns, don't they? I think one of the themes around it is that they feel that there isn't as many scrums in international rugby, and they're looking for contribution around the field. I agree with Martin. I spoke to John Humphreys at length this week. You know, there's no Ewan Murray for them because the game's on a Sunday. They don't see it as the strongest area, but one thing the Scots will bring that they've developed there is a driving maul. And I think, you know, we've seen it in the 20s game tonight, the Scottish 20s using it. It could be a massive weapon for Scotland, and along with some of the athletic, physical forwards they have now, they can match Wales in that department. And add to that, you know, they've got some really potent backs now who are a genuine threat. So there's a nice recipe going along there at Scotland at the moment.
Another tense one, it sounds like, Sean. Well, back to tonight's action. Now the teams are on their way back out, as we can see. It's delicately poised, as we say, 1 point in it. Still confident the Ospreys can do this?
Yeah, look, it might sound silly, but in games like this, as a coach away from home, you're reasonably happy with the result as it is at half-time, because you've got something to build on. You can now kick on. If you score first, the pressure's on the home team. They've got to come out and play. So I think Steve and his coaching team will be, you know, quietly happy, and with the bench that they have, there's some dynamic carriers to come off there. I think they will still squeak it.
Good man. They've got 40 minutes to seal this victory. If that's what they're going to do, we can rejoin Andy Nicol and Gareth Charles. Yeah, Scarlets and Blues in 8th and 9th, and that gap is just widening now. Scarlets have an opportunity on Sunday to close the gap with Connacht in 6th. But there does seem to be a bit of a gulf separating the top side from the bottom in the Pro 12 now.
Yeah, there is. That top 4 or 5, you know, traditionally now start ramping it up sort of through and past the Six Nations. And, you know, the Blues are guilty of losing some home games early in the season. Likewise, the Scarlets have had good home form but haven't been able to pinch anything away and not really scoring bonus points. So it's a worrying trend here for the Ospreys. You know, they'll need to really try and readdress this. The home games are going to be massively important against Munster and Leinster if they're to really hang on to a top 4 spot.
10-9 at half-time, as we said, and a bit of an arm wrestle for the third quarter of that game, and then Tom Brown with that try just on about the hour mark, and it seemed then that Edinburgh were just going to pull away. Well,
the difference in the teams was the cutting edge in midfield, I felt. You know, look at Burley here now. He played really well. They got some strength in depth. He tracks the little run and gets the offload. Now, and they keep the ball alive. Once they got behind the Osprey defence, they were very, very secure in that. And just look at this, you know, they hit the middle man. There's 3 forwards, OK? They hit the middle man, so he's got to clean out on the inside and the outside. And he takes the ball from in to out. So he makes it very difficult. He falls out and presents. Look at the white shirts. They find it very difficult to fold round now, and there's a bit of a mismatch going on in numbers. They go through the next set of forwards, and Heathcote, who looked quite lively when he came on, they've held the width. You know, and it was a real good try from a line break. You have to finish those things off.
Do you go along with that?
Yeah, I think set piece is key for Wales to get their line out right and the scrum, and they'll get a reaction around the park. And I just question, as much improved Scotland are, do they really believe that they can beat Wales? We'll see.